Hey, this is John Young. Today I'm going to just go and show you, I'm going to put the little back together. We covered what you need to do in a different video, but I'm going to actually do it because this is going to be a riveting video. If you don't really care to see, go to a different video. I'm going to literally be going through and putting the casters on and the tool caddy on and just kind of talking my way through today's little assembly of, this is the Greenworks 60 volt wet dry vac here. It is a hybrid, it's battery or electric plug-in. So let's get to work. So the first thing I did is I wanted to basically take the top off and set it off to the side so it was out of the way and safe. The tool you're going to need is just a basic Phillips screwdriver, nothing fancy. We've got 4 casters and our little assembly that holds the accessories. Our casters come in, they're all nicely individually wrapped. And what I do like about this is that the casters will slide on. And in many cases with wet dry vacs, they'll just slide in and snap, and that's it. And I have had it where I've been pulling the different across the shop, and then the next thing you know, one of the wheels pops out. So this has, not only does it go into place, it's got a nice grip in here, and then we have our little Phillips screw to tighten in there, and it is secure and very, very good to go. So we have 4 casters on this one. Now, one thing in this video I'm going to talk about is something that I have gotten into doing with many of our wet dry vacs, specifically dry vacs. When it's wet, you pull the filter assembly out, make sure there aren't any filters in, you kind of wash out and get it as clean as possible with the dust. As far as you want to clean it out, just wipe it out, what have you. You get it as clean as possible, no filters in it, and then it becomes a wet vac. Now, most of the time, we're using these as a dry vac to vacuum up the sand or what have you that's on the carpet or in the car, or we're using it to vacuum up the grit that's left on the floor after a project, sawdust, what have you. So what we're going to show you is a filter, an additional filter, because the filters you buy with this are great filters, and you can buy replacements and you can buy foam kind of sleeves to go over it. But sometimes I don't want to have the mess inside, especially if I'm going to alternate between using it for wet and for dry. I want to have that mess contained in here because I don't want to have that dust all over and just making a muddy mess. Even if I clean it out as well as possible, and then I use it, take the filters out, and then I use it as a wet vac after it's been used as a dry vac. There's just some dust you can't get out, and that water gets to be kind of muddy as you go with that wet vac use. So if you're kind of cleaning up water that's on the floor and you really didn't want to have this muddy mess, that could be a situation where you'd want to do what we're going to be doing here once we get this all put together. So yes, that's the tease. So if you're watching the video, you can watch it to the very, very end. Now this particular vacuum is a step up from what a lot of the battery powered vacs are out there. There's many smaller wet dry vacs that are using battery and giving you somewhere that 40, 60, those are really the most common numbers for CFM, the amount of air that they can move. That's the key. Some can move quite a bit of air, some not so much. For some situations, 40 does fine. In many situations, the 40 is absolutely great. But there's times where you need to have more horsepower. And in this particular case, this will give us a 90 CFM. We do have one in our office here that is much larger, and it will do well over 100 CFM. So it basically is one of those that you could go and stick it against the wall, and it will hold itself right there. That particular one, we use that one for, and this is the accessory tray that just slides in. So it's up like this so that we can so the accessories can ride with the wet dry vac as it goes, like so. So we have to make sure we get it all lined up, and you can see the 2 little holes. So it's going to mount like this on the side of it, where I can run the 2 screws in through those 2 little holes. And it has grooves in there, so it lines up nicely, makes it quick and easy. But with the 90 CFM, we have a nice amount of power. We have, with a 9-gallon unit, we have a compact size, so we're going to be able to utilize it in a variety of different areas. And of course, battery means that we're going to be able to take this out and vacuum out. You know, the kids, when they need to go vacuum out the trunk of the car because the cat litter spilled type of thing, you know, like that never happens. This is going to be something that will be able to do that, and they'll be able to get that cat litter out much quicker and easier than it might have if we would have just been using a lesser dry vac. So inside, this is what I'm saying is, it's nice and clean in there right now, and I want to keep it that way. So here's the kind of cool thing we're going to put in this one to make it so it's going to be nice and clean. Now there might be other companies that make these, but this happens to be something I picked up at Home Depot. This is the Rigid. This is a little filter, a little bag that can go into between 5 and 10 gallon bags here. There's 2 in this kit, so I don't want to destroy the plastic bag because I wanted to just kind of protect the second one. Although it seems that they're intertwined. So we'll get one out. There we are. There's one. And these weren't that expensive. I'll put a link in the description below so you can check these out. But these are the VF3503. Again, 2 in a bag. And we'll get to those more. But what these are is going to fit around that center filter, and it has in there. There it goes. It has a little hole there with the rubber gasketing, so we can go and kind of pop it open, and kind of fluff out the bag a little bit. And this becomes that dust collection. So this is going to catch the sand and the dust and the different things, the debris, and it's going to allow us to keep the inside of this much cleaner. So I'm going to stick this in there, and then I'll show you how it all turns out here in just a second. So we'll get this in here, and I'll show you how this goes. We pop the little valve out, and then we can kind of get, there's a little rubber gasketing that is here, and we're going to push that and kind of work that around our intake. So right there, it's the gasketing is all around, and then we can just drop that back in. And now the bag is in place. And then we can get our unit here and put the power head back on, get it lined up properly. So it is lined up so it's catching 2 sides. Clip, clip, and we are good to go. Now the important thing to remember when you're putting this back on is that it has a little notch, a little kind of a bump out on the side, and it has the catches on the front and the back, and the hose comes out the side. So that's something slightly different, and it's just something to make sure so that you have things lined up and lined up properly. Now we can plug this all in and use it. We're going to have nearly full capacity, but we now have that little dust bag in there that's going to catch everything and make it a lot easier. So that's pretty much the extent of the assembly. There's not a lot of magic left to it. We take our hose, and it is an attach and the screws on, which is kind of a nice feature because now we have the ability to tug on that and it's not going to go anywhere. The hose can go up here and will snap into place, so it's kind of out of the way. And then we have the longer hoses can go on the sides. Batteries, of course, will go in their little slots, and the accessories, which we only have 2 as of right now, but you can go to any of your big box stores and any of your big box tool stores and pick up more accessories that will fit. And that's pretty much it. It is assembled and ready to go. So in the next video we're going to do is go through and look a little bit about how it works with the battery via plugging it in. This is John Young of the Weekend Handyman. Thanks for watching.
For more tips and how-to videos, go to weekendhandyman.com.